Hello and welcome. My name is Andrey Sokolov. I am city artist, generalist and developer. It's been a while since I've posted any videos on this channel. I'm sorry guys, I've been opening my Russian channel dedicated to Blender and I've been working on some add-ons, and one of them I'm gonna present you right now. Yesterday I've released a pre-alpha version of Gridbreaker add-on. More than 600 people already downloaded it and playing with it. It's really fun thing. Let's jump right into it. First of all, you can download it from the link in the video description. It is the link to the Gumroad. The minimum price is $0, but if you want to support the further development, I'll appreciate if you pay whatever you want. Well, so let's jump right into it. After you downloaded the zip file, don't unpack it. Go into the Blender, Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, Install. Find this zip file, gridbreaker.zip. Select it, press Install Add-on, and here it is. Click this checkbox, and you see here we got some little panel. Close the Preferences window, Gridbreaker, here it is. So, by default, it has only plus and minus buttons. If we press plus, it will create a Gridbreaker mesh, but we don't see it because our default cube hides it. So we select default cube, press X, delete it, and we see our Gridbreaker mesh. Basically, what this add-on does, it takes the plane, subdivides it to the cells, then select some random faces, subdivide them, select some other faces, subdivide them, select, subdivide, select, subdivide. So this slider cuts determines how many times it does this process. After it is generated, you can adjust height and randomize the height. Basically, that's all the add-on does for a moment. I'm planning to add more functionality, of course, but I've decided that it would be cool to share with you just this pre-alpha version before I go to my vacation and to continue the development after I return from it. What the other settings do here? Size predictably adjusts size of the object, of the mesh, because if we jump here into item, we see that scale remains the same. So it edits only the size of the mesh itself, not of the object. We can change the scale, the rotation and the location of the object independently from the Gridbreaker. So you can place it wherever you want and continue tweaking settings here. I think this is pretty useful. Let's see what other settings do here. I'll press Alt-R, Alt-G and Alt-S to reset all transforms to default. The size, let it be 7 by 7, for example. Cells changes how many initial cells will be here. So if we turn off cuts, we see just initial cells. We add cells on the X and Y axis, and now I can see that I've changed the axes. I will improve it later. This is pre-alpha version, so some issues may be here. Let's add some cuts. Basically subdivide some polygons into other polygons. Let's decrease margin to see what it does. It basically adds more and more empty space until polygons disappear, but at the moment they have the null size, the 0 size, but they remain in the mesh. So if we press tab and jump into edit mode, we see that all vertices remain here. I'm planning to improve it in the later versions, but for now it works like this. Distribution determines how many of the polygons will be subdivided. 1 means all polygons are subdivided. 0 means no polygons are subdivided. Let's leave it at 0.5. Height adjusts height of the polygons. Random height adjusts randomness of the height. Height seed determines which polygons will be of which height. And the seed determines which polygons will be subdivided. So that's basically it. Currently, add-on has 2 more hidden tabs. Geometry. Later I want it to be possible to leave each one of them independently, so you could leave only top, only bottom, and only sides. For now, the sides can exist only when top and bottoms are on. So if we turn off bottom, for example, sides will turn off automatically. But you can add top and bottom independently if you want to. Sides will work only if top and bottom checkboxes are checked. Materials. Other very interesting tab, which I will be improving too in the future. It basically adds material slots, which will be used to be randomly assigned to each cell. We press plus and a new slot is added. Here we can choose materials from the project materials. So if we jump into materials, be careful here, because if we jump here and add some materials to our object, for example, let's add material 2 and add material 3, or maybe even better, to turn on our render view to see what's going on here, and in material 2 change the color to red, and then material 3 change the color to, for example, orange. Let's name it red and orange. So if we now change something here, it will all disappear. I will improve it later, but for now it works like this. So to add different materials, you need to add some slots here. Choose one of them, choose one of the existing material, choose another one, and choose existing material. So that's how it works for now. It is not very obvious and it is not very comfortable maybe, but I'm sure you can get used to it once you understand how it works. If you want more objects, for example, to be red here, you just change the orange material here to red, add more slots, and in those slots assign them to red material. So more and more cells will be the red material or any material you need. Material seed determines which polygons will be of which material. It's random. It's just a random seed. It changes which polygons use which material. So let's leave just one material for now. As I mentioned before, as we change in only the mesh, we are not changing the object settings, so you can independently change their scale, your rotation, and etc. etc. And when you change the Gridbreaker settings, those object properties will remain all the same. This also means, let's again press Alt-G, Alt-R, Alt-S. This also means we can use modifiers. So I'll add a curve modifier, and I'll press Shift-C to put the cursor in the center, press Shift-A, curve circle. Let's increase the size of the circle. Select our object, and in the curve modifier, choose the curve, and it will be spreading along the curve. So we again can change the size here, can change the number of initial cells. Be careful because the large number of cells will cause slower calculations here. I will try to improve that later, but it will take some time. So I can uncheck this live update button if I want to make some changes and don't want to wait. So I'll uncheck live update, put it, for example, for about maybe 60. Turn on live update 60. Okay, and now this is spread all along the curve. You may also use pretty much any modifiers you want. For example, let's add another grid mesh. We just press the plus button. Let's increase its size. We can, by the way, select this grid, select this object, and if you have in the edit preferences copy attributes menu add-on enabled, this is Blender default add-on. You can press Ctrl-C and copy modifiers. Then your new mesh will have the same modifiers as the previous one. Grep Y, add the height, add size. You can add an array modifier, for example, before curve. If you got this edgy look, you may want to add a subdivision surface modifier. Be careful. Let's turn it off for a moment. Subdivision surface, where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Subdivision surface modifier before other modifiers in the simple mode. So it just adds subdivision but doesn't affect the shape of the object, like this. Then turn on other modifiers and it will give you more smooth look. Object, shade smooth, data properties, normals, auto smooth. Like this, for example. I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken, these auto smooth options you will need to do after any change here. Am I right? Yes, I'm right, and I will fix this later again. Alright, let's add a bit of randomness to the height. So in this way, you can do pretty much whatever you want with this. Let's turn off the subdivision. Let's add, for example, wireframe modifier. Randomize height even more, just height. Or maybe this was not a very good idea. The one more thing I want to mention is, for now, the names of the objects are determined by this parameter name. So if you change this, for example, outer ring, it will automatically change the name of the object. For example, we have a Gridbreaker mesh, and if we change some settings here, it will be renamed to Gridbreaker. If we add another Gridbreaker, it will be Gridbreaker. And more to say, anytime you make changes here, the name of the object changes to Gridbreaker, and this is not very useful. As I've understood, I will change it in the future, but for now, just be sure to name your object here and to name them somehow properly, so you can understand what object in Outliner is currently the Gridbreaker. So don't call it Gridbreaker, but call it something, I don't know, like center circle, for example. Center circle. And you can also change this name here. Later, I think I will do that. It will be changing automatically. So here is our third Gridbreaker. Let's select it. Let's select some of other Gridbreakers. Ctrl-C, copy modifiers. Choose it again. It is a center circle, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And now, for example, you can also do such thing. Grep, Z, rotate X and 90. Add some erase, ink, a bit more, like this. Randomize height, rotate X 180, add height. Pretty fun, I think, yeah? Rotate X. After the mesh generated, you can animate, of course, any of the object parameters here. So, for example, we can press here, type in hashtag, frame, divide by, I don't know, maybe 50, and get this. Or maybe even faster, divide by 10. Woo, woo. Pretty cool, yeah? And it will be rendered. But unfortunately, all these parameters for now are not keyframeable, not animatable. So you can generate it, but you can't add any keyframes to it. I'm planning to add this functionality later, but it may be a bit buggy, because Blender doesn't like much when someone tries to cheat it. But it will take some time anyway. So this is basically it. Gridbreaker add-on. Go down the link in the video description if you want to support the further development. You can pay whatever you want, or you can download it for free. Test it, have fun, make your own creative decisions. Hope you will like it. Subscribe this channel, leave your comments below, and I'll see you in the next videos. Goodbye.